Yo, 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 yo. What's going on, good people? This your boy Val.
What up? It's Cyrus. You see we online, but we still back here in the
Yeah,
flesh, essentially still.
yeah, we still in the flesh. I don't care what nobody say. I mean, ain't nobody gonna tell us anything anyway. But yeah, we glad to be back in the building, in our respective buildings, and a lot going on. We said last week or a couple weeks ago, actually, a couple weeks ago, we said a lot would happen in our 2 week span. Whether it was the hockey team, whether it was the NFL draft, post draft news, pre draft news, Mike Vrabel, which we left off on last time, but
It's
um,
the never ending saga right now. Like every time I turn
yeah,
around, it's another picture done dropped, another video, paternity questions. I say, what this is like a Maury episode right now.
Maury,
The
Jerry
way this
Springer,
shit is
Sally, you know what I mean? Where Ricky
sad, not
Lake,
Sally.
shout out to Sally. But yeah, a lot been going on, but we like to start off with the check-ins. So, man, Z, you holding up. I know I asked you shortly, but like you good though, everybody on your side taking care
All
of them.
is well. Yeah, we just got back from a little quick Charlotte trip. Shout out to the grandma, turned 70 or 70,
Hey,
turned 90, excuse me. Put some respect on the 90. Now, glory be to God, still here. So
yeah,
we
man,
had a good time celebrating her.
that's a blessing, bro.
Also shout out to my mama, 2 days away from retirement. So we
Mama.
we celebrated that as well. Shout out to you, mama. I know you're not watching, but
You sent her a little snippet of
shout
this,
out to you in spirit. Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah,
In
yeah,
spirit.
yeah. But now that's dope though. I mean, retirement, birthdays. We know we got Mother's Day rolling around the corner, probably before we record the next time. So, shit. While we at it, happy early Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. My
Is
mother
that close? Uh,
is
I got
legit. Like, yeah, it's creeping up. Hey, I mean, yeah,
next
not.
weekend maybe. All right, let
Yeah, I'm
me
about to say not this weekend, but the following weekend. So,
all right,
whole lot going on,
let me
man.
get my act together.
Yeah, get it together, bro. Together. But nah, we got a lot going on. But I'll start with the Sabres. For those who don't know, they were able to, and we might have mentioned it, but it was 2 weeks ago. They clinched home field, and they right now currently have a 3-2 lead. The Buffalo Sabres, that is, on the Boston Bruins. And look at that, look how far I've come with just knowing that little bit of information, right? Just a
So
few years ago,
look
like,
at you, man.
yeah,
Actually
Sable
knowing teams, names, and stuff.
Let's go Buffalo, man. That's all it is. It's one Buffalo. So, any quick thoughts though on the first 5 games of how that series has gone for you?
Hey, look, man, they gotta stick to their game. They gotta stick to their game. Boston don't have the skating ability and the speed to keep up with them. They just can't keep getting dragged down into the mud, man. Playoff
That's
hockey
what
teams get away
Buffalo
with a lot more holding and grabbing, and Boston has been doing a great job of slowing them up at the blue line and really forcing them to dump and chase and be patient. So to stick to their game, they'd be good, man. They've been playing better on the road so far this playoffs anyway. So let's get this series wrapped up in 6.
There you
Call
go.
it a day. But if we go to 7, I mean, shit, it is what it is, dog. But let's
Yeah.
get this series wrapped up.
Listen, that's the one scary part about the playoffs period, because I'm gonna get to my Knicks in a second here. It's
Yeah, that stress hit different, man.
yeah, game 7 is like, if you don't have a dog in the fight, game sevens are everything. Game sevens is when you get your people together. You got your favorite beverage next to you, your food, kick your feet up. Game sevens in the playoffs are everything. But if your team is involved, man, that is some stressful television. Or if you in person, and I ain't never been to a game 7 in person, but like, man, listen, like and this is why I always say as a sports fans, like, that home field stuff is cool, and you love having game 7 at home if it has to come to that, but like, ain't nobody trying to go through all that. If you got to win on the road just to move to the next round, let's do it. We'll do it in
Yeah, my,
Boston. How
my
they
brother asked, he was like, yo, if they go to game 7, you trying to go? I said, man, my heart can't handle that.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't handle
stressful,
that
bro.
level of stress. I'm
That's,
not, nah, man. I
yeah,
said, I'm on the couch last night on pins and needles in overtime. Like, I said, man,
OT.
I don't know, man. I can get talked into it,
Yeah.
but that stress, heck no, man. I'd be a
And,
nervous wreck in that arena.
did they confirm with game 7 be on Sunday?
Yeah, game 7 would be Sunday. I don't know
It
what
would.
time. But yeah,
Okay,
it's
yeah,
Sunday.
that's kind of like the Knicks. I think their game 7 would be Saturday, but they don't know what time. They don't know what time yet. But yeah, I mean, I'll just summarize what you just said. I think Sabres, from what I've gathered, just watching their games this year, here and there, it's like they just gotta play that up tempo style. Like when they're skating and they're moving like they do when they're at their best, can't nobody run with them. That's how they was able to win that last 2 games ago, 6-1 or whatever that was. Like when they out there like that, they can score four goals in 4 minutes and not even blink. You know what I mean? So the inexperience will get them at sometimes. I think every young playoff team, basketball, football, hockey, you're gonna go through your bruises. That's why I kind of was like, man, if they win this in 5, woo. But then I'm just like, chances are it's probably going 6 and hopefully not 7. Word to the little kids, right? But I don't really think it's going 7. I think if Sabres commit to playing the way that they're capable of playing, and I know Coach Lindy, he gonna let them know, like, listen, dog, we love Buffalo, right? We going back to Buffalo, but we're not going back to Buffalo to play like a 7. Like we let's go back to Buffalo and like ice up, relax. So shout out to the Sabres, and let's hope they wrap it in 6. My quick Knicks thoughts before we get to the draft. Almost are the same, but not really, because the Knicks ain't young, right? Like that's
This team, Knicks pissing me off.
they're gonna piss.
It's like, yo, it's this series. It's just never the same intensity game after game. They look great one game, next game they show up like, I don't think I really want to play, and just getting out hustled. Like, there's no reason why this team should be getting outworked with the type of players that they have.
Nah. Yeah, it's to me, it's definitely
you can't get a shot up in the last minute. Like, bro, you got 15 seconds. You can't even get a shot up.
Yeah. I reflect on the missed opportunities from game 2 and game 3, and I just say this really could have been wrapped up in 5, like point blank. Like, would it have been a sweep? I don't know. Atlanta was one of the hottest teams in the East. They were gelling at the right time. Some of their young guys inexperienced, but they have talent, right? They got skilled guys. CJ being the veteran, right? He the old man that can hoop in the gym that can still give you buckets. But with all that being said, Knicks are the deeper team. They are the more experienced team. They're the
more talented team too.
Yeah,
but it's just like I don't have any doubt that they're going to win the series. I think they're just making it harder than it really needs to be.
I mean, the funny thing is, I watched the game last night. Trying to watch both Sabres and Knicks, but I watched the Knicks game, and they ended up winning by 29 points, and I'm like, so we wait till game 5, right, to really show them who the boss, right? Brunson drops 39, and OG doing his job, Cat playing like a beast. And it's like, I'm not saying the coaching adjustments were made too late, and the player, personnel decisions, Jose Alvarado coming off the bench, dropping 12 yesterday. Well, I should say, because this is recorded later, but in game 5, like, I hope Mike Brown and the rest of those guys learn from this series, because I do think they'll definitely advance. But like, I hope they learn from the series. Like, we can't afford, until we get to the finish line, which is the championship, we can't afford to let that foot off the gas. You
get caught slipping, looking like the Pistons.
Oh man, Detroit going through it.
That's what happened when you don't show up.
Yeah, right. They took Orlando for granted. They said, Orlando was in a play-in. They don't want their coach. Who we got? A guy, Terrell Suggs, Wendell Carter. Oh, we'll be fine. And all them boys out there playing bully ball. Like, they're matching that physicality, which I always say, you just kind of said it with the Bruins and the Sabres, but like, some teams come with the mentality like, yo, I'm gonna just beat y'all up, right? Like, just rough y'all up a little bit and y'all gonna back off. Come playoff time, that's not really working. Like, maybe in 1992, 1993, but in 2026, most of the times you got to bring both. You have to have a little bit of both. I got to have that fight, that physicality, but you also got to be talented. You also got to be skilled. You also got to have a bucket getter, right? So Paola is showing up for Orlando, and Bane. Bane, you finally decided to play ball after missing the whole regular season. Yeah, now he hooping.
Man, you got your big man getting dunked on. I said, you can't have that.
Listen,
so that
by a creative player at that. No disrespect, but I ain't no dude named for the series. And then I started watching. I'm like, oh, this dude can hoop. And when I say hoop, he play defense / all that. But bro, you can't let a dude like that when you got to check the bag of the
like that. Yeah, bro. I said, nah, dog. It's a wrap.
I watched that clip back like 3 times. I said, hold on. I know ain't nobody really watching this Orlando series, but hold on. That is,
Bro, that's one that's gonna be on the highlight reels forever.
Bro. Yeah, and by a dude, which respect to him, who nobody really knew much about him before that series. So, man, that's what I love about playoffs and sports. Like I said, that's why I wanted to start here because we could talk about the draft all day, but like when this playoff sports period going on, basketball, hockey, man, you know,
it's
and
a great time. And just to stick with the NBA for a second, and then you got old man River down their best 2 players, and you got LeBron hitting game time shots in the last couple seconds, forced to steal, hit the shot, and it's just like, bro, you 41. I need you to remember that you up there, dog. And it's like I'm truly waiting for him to slow down, and it's not happening. Like you down, you're right, and KD's been out, and when he wasn't, and he was back in, he wasn't effective. But they're down their 2 best players, and LeBron, like, all right, that's cool. Let me just show back up,
bro.
Yeah, I'll play 45 minutes. I got it. It's just this is unheard of. No one has played at this level at this age of any sport. You know, Brady still had some juice left.
Brady got a Super Bowl in his
not the full team on your back.
Yeah, it's because he still had Mike Evans. Yeah, he had a squad, right?
I mean, you got Marcus Smart out there giving you buckets, but like, and it's no disrespect to Smart, like, but
Luke Kennard, Rui,
yeah,
DeAndre Ayton. But the thing about LeBron is, what does he do though? Like we always talk about, the great ones raise the level of play of those around him, right?
The standard is higher,
right? You become so inspired, and that's why LeBron was so frustrated. I feel like in years past when guys didn't really understand that assignment. Like people always joke when they be like, LeBron give you that look and then you off the team, because LeBron know, like, bro, if you can't catch a hint that I want this and I want to be great, I want my teams to be great, I'll go to whoever I need to go to and be like, yo, let's whatever we can do to be better. I ain't gonna say no names, but can we make some adjustments? Because I need guys that's willing to die for the loose ball, that's willing to grab that rebound in a 50-50 situation with a minute left. So he got some dogs, Marcus Smart, Rui out there fighting. You got Vanderbilt. You got just a mixture though of a couple shooters, right? And then you got some feisty dudes. You got his son that's actually out there playing smart, high IQ basketball, and he can knock down the shot too when he need to. So
yeah, it's funny though, because like he'll still get the hate online. People say, he nepotism, he shouldn't be in the league. But I'm like, yo, but he's actually proving now that he does deserve to be in the NBA. Like he may not be an all-star, but like he's playing viable minutes and actually putting up. Like he's giving you a good 10 minutes off the bench of productive time.
And in the playoffs, that's all you need, right? I just talked about Jose Alvarado. Like Jose only giving the Knicks 8 to 10 minutes a game.
But those
are 8 to 10 minutes of pivotal, right? Yeah. You just need a breather for those veterans,
that gives
right?
Brunson the time to catch his breath. So like those 10 to 12 minutes of the 7th or 8th man on the bench make a huge difference this time of year. So like if the Lakers can last long enough to get healthy,
which they are, well, they're getting Austin Reeves back in their next game from what they're saying.
Right. Yeah, so Reeves should be back tonight. I haven't heard, officially, but game 5 they said he might be back. But if they can last long enough to get him back at relatively health, and if they can somehow get Luka back and they run up against OKC, that's going to be a fun series to watch.
It is, because LeBron ain't going down without a fight. That's one thing for sure. And Marcus Smart going to be up for the challenge, because we already know who his assignment going to be. He might not be 2019 Marcus Smart, but he gonna get out.
He gonna make you work though. That's the thing.
100%. And he gonna put pressure on the referees to call whatever, because the referees gonna try to play it close, flopping this versus that, and SGA gonna get to the line. But that'll be a fun little series if it happens. We all know OKC is all around, still arguably the best team in the league, but Lakers, man, they can make it fun. They can make it fun. And anytime you got that old man, like you said, out there hooping. Like not old man in the gym hooping, because if he was at the Y, you just gotta leave. You just gotta be like, I'm not. I got winners, maybe. I got winners, maybe. Or you know what? I'm gonna catch y'all tomorrow.
I'm gonna go catch a lift real quick and come back afterwards.
I'm gonna just go and live. I'm gonna actually walk around the top drink.
My man
Yeah,
getting
nah,
steals,
LeBron,
getting chased down blocks, rising
bro,
above the rim like you still 20. I say, yo, what?
bro, still hitting the fade, like left, right, great passes, rebound, bro. The greatest, man. Like I said, I'm not into saying who, what, where, what. I'm just saying when it's all said and done, there's gonna be one guy because you can put together MJ's documentary right now, and there are some mini docs. You know, we talk about the shoe being made, all that. There's some lovely little stuff out there with MJ and his career. When that LeBron doc drops, I'm in the theater for that shit. Don't put that shit on Netflix. Don't, bro, put that shit in the theater, and that shit better be at least 3 hours. Cause
Yeah,
that
and
shit,
one thing I always say about LeBron, which is why he's always going to be one of my favorite players, is no other player has ever came into the league with the level of expectation that he did. And
nah,
not only did he live up to that expectation, actually even exceeded the expectation
yeah,
that was there for him.
yeah,
No player came with that amount of pressure
nah,
ever.
nah. And
And to
even
do
the
that
ones
at
that,
18
yeah,
and to be here
I mean, the
damn near
man was
25 years later is
right. I mean, we getting to the point now where it's almost reaching 30 years of coverage of this guy, right? Because he was getting
yeah,
covered in high school. So he's
right.
almost reaching 30 years of coverage, which would equal to 30 years of high play. It's just crazy to think
Yeah,
about. Like the
it's
dude,
it's crazy, and for me, like I know we're going to tangent now. We even touched the Bills
yeah,
yet, but the fact that like the level of hate that he gets is still crazy to me. Because find me anything off the court that has been a negative, and find me something truly about his game that is bad outside of people saying he flopped. That's the biggest thing you got is because he flopped.
yeah,
That's the
great.
best you got.
Great. Let me point to 10 other people in the league who you can say flop.
Yeah,
So
so I'm
we
like,
got, we
so
got
the best you got from a negative about his game is that he flops. All right, cool.
great.
I already know I'm
Now,
not respecting your opinion based on that.
so does that make yeah. Anyways, whatever. That's a dumb point because it's like so outside of that, if you were on the court with him, what would you think?
Right.
If you got floor seats, let me pay for your floor seats. If I gave you floor seats to watch him play, you'll still think he ain't the greatest. I can only imagine what it's like watching that dude on the floor. Like I've seen him. I've seen him live. Shout out to getting a chance to see him in Cleveland. Got a chance to see him out in LA. But like to have floor seats to watch a guy of that magnitude dominate, because every time he's on the court, he going to do something that's going to make you. And I know you can say
Jump
that
up to
about a
speed.
couple of guys, but he's done that for 20 plus years though. Like some dudes do it for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, oh, maybe 10. Uh-oh. This man been jumping and doing insane for 20 plus years. It's unheard of, bro. Like you said, MJ had his stint. But after MJ couldn't move like MJ, it was curtains.
It
Because
wasn't the same.
I
He was still averaging like
he
17,
was
18,
19.
but it was
Yeah.
not the same.
Bro, I remember them watching the years, and I'm like, it wasn't a highlight that made me be like, ooh, this boy's still nasty. Like, nah, he could get his. Like you should. If you that nice,
Yeah,
you're not
he
gonna
was
fall
getting
off.
his because he's still Michael Jordan and is still a
Right. You know what I
supreme
mean?
talent. But compared to what he was, it wasn't close.
You could say the same thing about Kobe. Rest in peace. Once Kobe got to the end of his career, which Kobe knew when to hang it up, he gave us 60 in that last game, but that took every bit of Kobe's soul
Which is
to drop
still
that
crazy.
60.
Like, dang, that
It
to
really is.
go
That
out
was
like
one of the
that is
greatest.
still.
Yeah, that was still one of the greatest like storybook endings. Like, obviously, he ain't win the championship or nothing, but to drop 60, bro, and your team won, and you had all the celebrities in the building. Like, bro, Kobe did that. I remember like it was yesterday. I still get chills thinking about it because
I
I'm
was
like,
going crazy watching that game. Like, yo,
that is
am I truly seeing this? Like, this is once in a
yeah,
lifetime to go out like
rest
that. I
in
said,
peace.
God, I said, this man is
Rest in peace, bro.
otherworldly too.
Listen, you gotta appreciate things like this. And that's why I said, like, shout out to the people before us that got a chance to see Ali, right? Got a chance to see Wilt, got a chance to see Jackie Robinson, Jim Brown. Like, we can go through the list. Like, our generation, I'm just happy I got a chance to see some too, right? LeBron James, Tom Brady, as much as we hated him, Kobe Bryant, like we mentioned, Michael Jordan, like Allen Iverson, the Michael Vicks of the world, who don't get enough credit for being such a trendsetter, of that generation, a culture person. who also just changed the game of how we look at quarterbacks for real, for real. Like I know quarterbacks was running before Vic, but like
Like
when
that.
Vic got that was a different animal. Vic was on
Sheesh.
some other Vic was on some other. But anyway, listen, y'all, we hit the twin man mark, and I said we would start off hitting the tangents, come back to the Bills. Man, what a weekend, right? We talked about it, right? Leading up to the draft, we said, hey man, Bills could easily trade back, right? But I think we only said they'll trade back once. So I'm gonna go to UZ. Day one, night one, Bills trade back multiple times. What was your initial thoughts?
I was perfectly fine with that, man. Like the more and more I thought about it leading up to the draft, the more and more I just wanted them to slide on back, grab whatever they can get, and take advantage of the depth of the draft.
Right.
Again, drafting 26 and later every year, it's tough to truly get that first round talent at the end of that first round. So I'm like, look, if we can recoup a couple draft picks, move back a few spots, let's do it. I mean, there's a couple players that if was there, I'd have been fine turning that card in for. But most of those players came off that board, like Casey Conception. If he would have been available, I'd have
Oh
been
yeah,
around.
that's a different story.
Even a couple defensive ends, I would have been like Malachi Lawrence. If he was there, I'd have been like, all right, let's just turn that ticket in and keep it moving. But early 20s, most of those players that I still would have wanted started coming off the board. So at that point, I'm like, all right, let's back up and let's see what you get. But I love how they did it in pieces, as opposed to just taking, hey, look, we're going to go from 26 to 35 in one trade. Now we're going to drop back 28. No, it's going to drop back to 31. So that way they're able to kind of get a little bit more bang for their buck and doing it in pieces. So I like how the moves played out because they were able to, recoup a lot. Like that first trade to slide from the end of the third all the way up to the very beginning, like that was a haul all in itself, plus the additional fourth in there too. So like that first trade, I'm like, all right, you got some good value to drop back 2 spots. Yeah, I'm 100% on board with that. So after day one, I was good. It sucks staying up till 11 o'clock just to see him trade and never make a pick. But coming around at the end of day one, I was good.
Yeah. Nah, I felt similar, very to the point where it was like, yes, the first trade back, you want to be like, hopefully we trade. But after they traded back a second time, I'm like, at this point, they don't see exactly what they're looking for. And again, I said it before, I would not be surprised if they traded out of the first round just because it's a mixture of value, but it's also a mixture of what do they truly want? Who's really on their board? And I know people hate those terms. They hate when that is said. And then you got the people who don't understand this side of the draft. They know about how they feel, right? They're attached to one player. And I know Cooper was there and a couple other guys were there in the first round that they could have grabbed. But like you got to understand, you got to see through their lens. You got to put yourself in the GM chair and remove all of your bias, right? Oh, I watched 8 minutes of clips on Malachi Lawrence, so I'm sold, right?
And
But
that's
is
all
that
it is. You hear a
right?
couple analysts say a player's name a certain amount of times, and now you're hooked. And now it's
Not
all or nothing. If I don't get this player that I actually never seen play in a game,
yeah. Now
now it's
you're
Dean got to get fired. He's trash. He's terrible. Get him off the team. Like, yo, bro, but you really heard this player for the first time 2 weeks ago. Like,
yeah. You didn't follow his whole career, right?
relax. What Aaron Rodgers say? Relax. Just
Relax.
take a deep breath. Let it
Yeah.
play out. Because again, it's hard to say all of this after night one or even after night two. Like there's still more rounds to see how the whole thing in totality plays out. So it's
And,
those rush judgments. People always want to just make it immediately, but like, yo, let's see how everything plays out. Even post draft, like there is still free agency. So like the final team is not even fully put together just yet. So like there's still moves that can be made.
and I love reminding people that because I think that as fans, once again, because we're 95% of what you see online is stuff from fans. Now you'll get your reporters here and there, they'll give their opinions and whether Bills fans want to latch on to a certain reporter and say, well, Tad Brown said it was atrocious, or Matt Perino said this, or Josh said this. I get it because reporters are subject to believe what they want to believe as well. It doesn't make any of those people experts, right? My cousin, he's been a fan for 40 plus years. He said that was stupid. That doesn't make him an expert because he went to every single Bills game since 1967. So all of these things that we latch onto, we got to remember under a new regime, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, and just really a new way of thinking at One Bills Drive. I knew there would be some things on there that would make me be like, oh, okay, so this is where we kind of headed. We mentioned it last time we recorded. We will find out a lot about Jim Leonard and his defense, right?
That's exactly
You know,
what we said.
but we said we will find out a lot because we said free agency, it gave us an idea, you know, CJ Gardner, the other safety, you know, Stone, bless you, D Alston or D Alford, Bradley Chubb. So we had snippets, right? But we was like, okay, but what about that front seven, right? So I came away, obviously, from day one, like, okay, we got more picks. And now we have the flexibility to move around, especially day two, to kind of, you know, see what they're really looking for going forward. So I say all that to say we fast forward to day two. First pick, obviously, you get the third pick in that second round. They go TJ Parker. So you can go through, you only got to go through initial thoughts, but you know, days of sitting on it. How do you feel about TJ Parker there with their first pick?
Yeah, so it didn't bother me, right? I didn't have a necessary like hierarchy that I wanted out of the first pick. I knew between rounds 1 and 4, right? I knew I wanted to walk away with edge. I wanted to walk away with receiver. I wanted to walk away with linebacker or D tackle. Like 3 out of those 4 positions, I wanted to walk away out of those first 4 rounds. Right. So based on that, DN come off the board first. I didn't have any issue with it, you know, because for me, I look at the teams who's had success in the playoffs and particularly Super Bowl winners over the last handful of years. What do they have? They have waves of pass rush.
Right.
So I had no issue with another edge thrown in the mix. Well, he's not going to start. Where's his snaps going to come from? Bro, no defensive end plays 100% of the snaps. You need someone else in the mix. Right now, you have Rousseau, you have Chubb, you have Solomon, and you have Hoyt whenever he does come back. Like, you need someone else in the mix. So if you throw TJ Parker in there, perfectly fine. You know, is that the skill set that you want? I don't know. Because, again, coming into a new style of defense, we're going to get a better idea of what type of players Jim Leonard likes. So if they as in Bean and Leonard and the rest of the staff, and decided that this is the skill set that they feel they can utilize, then I have no issue with that.
Yeah.
So get the talent in the room and let the coaches use them.
Yeah, and to your point, I think that was the biggest takeaway for me was that, again, the style of edge he was, you know, more of a Bradley Chubb mode, right? A guy that can set the edge, but good enough to still get to the quarterback, right? And I think that's the hidden thing about guys like TJ Parker and even a Bradley Chubb is that, you know, sometimes we knock them for just not being a specialist, right? Oh, well, he's not going to get me 20 sacks, so we need a guy that can rush the passer, but you also need a guy that can stop the run. You also need a guy who can get his hands in the air and make a couple plays. And I'm not talking just AJ Epinesa, but I'm talking about you need a combination of all of that. And I feel like after taking a deeper look at TJ Parker, was he number 1 on my board? Was he number 2? Was he number 3? No. But I was specifically looking for pass rushers, right? So just give me a flat out pass rusher. But then when I think about where they may be going, I kind of had to sit back and be like, this might make more sense. If you're taking out Bradley Chubb on third down, or if you're moving things around on that line, this is a nice guy to put out there where you don't have to feel like there's a drop off. Well, Greg Rousseau is off the field. Oh, here comes fucking Javon Solomon. No disrespect. Nah, TJ Parker is giving you kind of the same kind of strength and the same ability to get to a quarterback as a Greg Rousseau and as a Bradley Chubb. I don't think, you know, it's, obviously he got to get acquainted with everything on the NFL level, but I don't think there will be a drop off if Rousseau or Chubb end up subbing out and TJ Parker come in for one of them. There should not be a drop off because from what I saw on the college tape, he can get to it just as good as them guys can. He got the power, he got some moves. And he has ability to take the ball away too. You know, a couple strip sacks in there, tackles for losses. So I think the upside is I'll say it like this: he has a higher floor than probably 90% of those defensive ends that went in the first 2 rounds. And to me, that's important because sometimes when you get the almighty pass rusher, super athletic, super bendy, as they like to say, sometimes that upside, you get caught up in the upside, you forget, like, okay, but what at worst, what is this guy giving me? Well, at worst, he might be Aaron Maven. Ooh, hold on. Let me think about that. Uh-oh. Is this is this another Aaron Maven, or is this going to be somebody who can be in the league for 10 years? Is this somebody who can give me 8 sacks in year one? So I look at what they did with TJ Parker all around. Please, like I said, and you said it. Was there a couple guys that you had higher on the board? Was there a couple guys that you might have looked at more highlights of? 100%. But that's me not in the brain of Jim Leonard. I'm not in the defensive meetings. I'm not in the coaches meetings. I'm not in the pre-draft conference to know this is our prototypical DN, or this is our prototypical outside linebacker for our system that we're going to go for. And he very well could have been one of the top 2 at that outside linebacker position in the 3-4. So shout out to him, and he looks happy to come. He got a wife. Look like he got a solid family behind him. So shout out to TJ Parker. Now, what came from this was the reach, right? Probably the biggest reach of their entire draft, just based off of what the pre-draft boards were. But we'll go by his nickname. I know his first name is Davison, but we'll go IGB. You don't have to give me initial thoughts, because I think most people initially was like, IG, huh? But after sitting on it or whatever, like, pause. After letting the days go by, what, what's your thoughts on the corner out of Ohio State?
I think I was in the minority, but in my head, the pick made sense to me. It made sense in the round that we have 2 outside corners and then nothing.
Yeah,
like the cupboard is completely bare, right? So it was an opportunity to bring talent into the room. Yes, we do have Christian Benford, who is CB1 and locked into a contract. Yes, we did get Hairston last year in the first round. Yes, this is a second-round pick who doesn't have a clear path to start. Yes, but just because he doesn't have a starting spot doesn't mean they can't find a way to have him have a role on the defense. I'm like, all right, this is a skill set that we don't really have, someone who is more of a pressed corner, someone with the long arms who excels in that type of game. Yeah. So let me bring a skill set in the room that we don't have right now. So for me, I didn't mind the pick. Was it earlier than I expected a cornerback? Yeah, I wasn't expecting a cornerback in round 2. I was thinking, if we scoop back and get a corner in round 4, good. But again, I wanted to walk away from this draft with a corner somewhere day 3, probably early day 3. Again, it came a little bit earlier than expected, but I'm adding talent to a place that needs it. And it's hard for me to find faults or real negatives when I'm adding a player at a premium position. You can never have too many cornerbacks, in my opinion. You can never have too many edge. You can never have too many receivers. It's a passing league, right? So I'm right now, I'm one snap away from, having some players on the field that shouldn't be on the field. I'm back to the Dane Jacksons of the world and people who just
phone calls. Yo, get up out the bed. We need you.
Yeah, like I don't want to live that life no more. So like I saw the pick, was like, oh, okay, corner. Didn't see that happening here, but I can see why you put it there. So I wasn't losing sleep. I wasn't going crazy.
Yeah, I think what got to people, unfortunately, and we know how this is like we look at who our starters are, we look at our needs, right? our needs, and we say, well, we have to address this defensive tackle. We got to address this. We need another safety. We need it. And we start to forget very quickly how the team broke down, year after year. And it was normally in the secondary, right? We had issues at safety last. Well, I mean, we came into the season last year with questions at safety, but then injuries happened. And now we really have real questions. So boom, they addressed that in free agency. Cool. Thank you. Then we look at corner and we say, well, Dane Jackson played, Tre'Davious White did a good job, but there was a lot of movement at corner once Max Harrison had his injury, and even Benford every once in a while he'll get a nick or a bruise every once in a
Yeah,
while.
he
So
misses a game or two every year. Like
yeah, yeah,
it happens on
it
him.
just happens, right? And I think Brandon Bean over the years, if you look at all of our playoff losses,
Said,
there's
I'm
been
sick of
one,
this bullshit.
yeah, it's been once or twice where you had to shit. Remember they reached out to Darius Slay and the motherfucker said, "Nah, I'm good." He's all like, I'll give Bean credit. It's not like he hasn't tried. It's just this is the proactive approach. I think a lot of fans want to claim that, you know, the Bills wait too late to do this and that. Well, guess what? He tried to be proactive this time, and y'all basically spit in his face. Y'all basically called him every name under the sun in them comments because y'all shiny wide receiver wasn't drafted. Shit, we had wide receivers on our draft board too who we liked, but that's my fan board. That's my board at home that I write on a notebook, and I go on YouTube and I watch clips. Like, I'm not a GM. I'm not going to be responsible if the Bills don't make the Super Bowl in 2027. So you got to remove all your fan feelings and say, hey, let this guy do his job. This guy getting paid millions, bro, to figure out what he can do to get Josh Allen and the Bills to the Super Bowl. And guess what? Corner and our secondary period has been an issue late in the season for about 5 consecutive years. For at least 5 consecutive, I could probably go back further than that, but for at least 5 consecutive years.
And
And if
I
I go
always
back
say,
further,
in the playoffs, in important games, we haven't got run out the gym on the ground. It's always in the back end. Either we can't get pressure on the quarterback and they got time to pick the corners apart, or the corners are just getting beat. We're losing the game in the secondary and on the edge. Like, that's what happens year after year.
And to add to that, we in the AFC. The AFC has a plethora, as we know, of franchise quarterbacks who can swing it. You know what I mean?
The best quarterbacks in the league is in the AFC.
Lamar can throw. So it's like you want to get mad because we added cornerback depth. Hey, earlier than what some people had on their projected boards, right? But again, as a fan, I always say this. Let me let things settle before I overreact. But being a keyboard warrior within minutes, y'all gotta chill out. I know nobody gonna listen to me because you know we live in a world now where you got to react first and then cry later and say, "Oh, I apologize," or "Oh, I didn't mean that. You know, I was just mad." Okay, keep using your thumbs and writing stuff that you say out of frustration instead of like putting your phone down for 3 seconds and actually look into it. Because that's what I did. I was about to react not even real crazy. I was about to react, and then I said, because I'm like, I think I'm watching that day. I forgot who I was watching the game. It might have been Dennis. I might have stopped by there on that Friday night. Yeah, Friday night, and I think he had his magazine out or something. And I'm like, yo, where
he had his magazines out.
Yeah, he like number 16. Like, he laughing about it. I'm like, well, listen, number 16, number 17, I don't care. I said, if they like something about, because you don't trade up 4 or 5 spots to get a corner that you just get in a corner, just get a corner. You got to like something about that corner. And come to find out, they did. They had DB coaches on the Bill side. Jim Leonard knew him. Like, there were people in the building who were like, no, we actually really do like him. Like, we've been watching him since he was a recruit out of high school, and we watched kind of his growth. You know, the up and downs with the penalties. But this is a sticky guy, athletic guy, a guy who plays with the aggression, that tenacity on the boundary. And guess what? That's something that they tried to get last year with Dorian Strong, and then he just got hurt. You know what I mean? Because quiet as kept. That's why Strong made an impression in training camp. He was all over people. It wasn't because he was just
but again, I'm happy that you mentioned him too, because that's a big uncertainty moving forward. We don't know how his neck is going to respond. He may be available, he may not be. So it's another reason why we need someone in there. And still, even in the second round, it's cheaper than going to go get a vet.
Yeah, playing that veteran game, and then the veteran decide halfway through the season he don't want to be there, or
or even if it's just a 1-year fix. Like, I'm getting someone under contract for the next 4 years. I know he's on my team.
Yep, because they tried the 1-year thing, and that's what. And we'll move on because I know we got a few more to hit, but that's one thing I do appreciate about getting 2 corners from this overall draft is that you got 2 guys now that you can, air quotes, lock in for 4 years. Where
you can mold them and teach them and get them into the system, and you got them for 4 years.
And your other starter is on his rookie deal too. So it's just like, I mean, the 1-year stuff it worked and it didn't work for majority of McDermott's time here. They did a lot of 1-year deals with corners, a lot of 1-year deals with some of the safety depth pieces behind Poyer and Hyde. It's almost like they finally looked at it and said, "Yo, this ain't about this, and that. We got to address these key positions so that we not watching Bo Nix throw darts late in games to get us out the playoffs. Because there's no way and I'll go back to that game one last time. There's no way Bo Nix should have been in a shootout with Josh Allen and him come on top. There's no way. There's no way that happens. There's no way. And I know some of that was Josh being sloppy with the ball, boom, boom. But our defense should not be giving up 30-something plus points. And I only say it because it wasn't like interceptions happened and then they ended up at the 1-yard line and all they needed was a quarterback sneak to get in. No, Bo Nix actually had to, you know what I mean? He had to swing it.
Yep.
And he was throwing that ball. So, I mean, that can't happen again. Nah. If it was Joe Burrow, Pat, Pat, I would have threw something at the TV, but I'd be like, yes, Pat. Joe Burrow is Joe. Lamar is Bo Nix. No disrespect, but disrespect. Bo Nix, nah. But anyways, I do want to, in a nutshell, just kind of, and I don't want to gloss over nobody. So if I miss anybody, you can stop me. But day 3, obviously, we had a bunch of picks going. Obviously,
day 3 started with a bang. Yeah, they started with Drew Bowery, so the tackle / guard, which again it was another pick. I'm like, that makes sense. You lost a swing tackle. You got an open competition at left guard. You got someone who can jump into the fray at both. He can start out as a potential swing tackle, or he can be right in the mix in left guard. You got a highly, highly athletic old lineman, and that's the theme of this draft, man. This draft class is full of high-level athletes. I mean, if you look at RAS scores, I mean, his was 9 and some change, like Spencer Brown level athleticism. So you just add another big man on the line, you can never go wrong with that. So I mean, I love how day 3 started with that pick.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't got much to add because we knew Vandermark, Alec Anderson likely going inside. You take it. Now, again, looking at the board, you're like, oh, but
listen, right. Twitter was going crazy. They said you got receivers here, you got
right there. He right there. So I get it, but that's why the next 2 moves were important. And you can go through those next 2 if you want.
Yeah. Next pick after that, Skylar Bell, the receiver out of UConn, which obviously that was the turning tide for most Bills fans online. They were starting to come around because they finally got their receiver, which I was happy about too. 100%. Based on whoever was available there, I was like, all right, we do need to walk away with a receiver. That's what I wanted out of those first rounds, those first 4. I'm like, all right, get me a receiver. And they went and got Skylar Bell, who someone who can win on all 3 levels. Good set of hands. Someone who can, with good run after the catch ability. Someone that can win at the point of contact.
Yep.
Hell of a pick in the 4th round, mid-4th round pick. It worked out really nicely because he's bringing a skill set to the room that we really don't have. Similar stylistically and size-wise, so what Shakir brings to the table, but still a different receiver in the sense he plays a little bit more on the outside. He can play inside, but I think he's built as more of an outside receiver.
Yeah, he's more of a to me, what I think he can be a better version of Zay Flowers. Like just can get out in the open field, make plays, and I mean, there was a bunch of comparisons going around. I mean, some mentioned Prime Diggs. Some people mentioned Emmanuel Sanders, Santonio Holmes. I mean, there was a bunch of names thrown around. But I'm like, man, give me a combination of all, and I'll take it. You know what I mean? A guy who can start off as a 3 or a 4, most likely a 4 or 5 in our offense, but like on a rookie deal can just continue to climb that ladder, right? We don't know where DJ Moore going to be in 3 years or so. So like, boom, he might develop into a 1 or a 2 at best. And it's just like to have a guy coming in on that rookie deal, 24 years old, maybe I think he is. So it's not like you babying the dude. Like, it's not like you got to be like, hey, I need you to get here on time, buddy. No shot at Keon, but like the guy should know walking into the Bills, like this grown man shit now. You're about to be damn near the same age as half of these cats in this room, so it's time to get right to it.
Older than Keon, which is crazy. Right, Keon going into year 3 and younger than the draft pick.
Yeah, but I mean, around the same age as Shavers, Khalil. So it should be a fun group. And again, yes, the fans were able to take a deep breath because it's like, ooh, wide receiver. And most people, who did a little bit of research, his name continued to pop up as a potential day 2 or early
Mhm.
day 3 pick. So shout out to the Bills for just taking what the draft gave him at that point. It's like, oh, y'all just gonna leave him here? All right, thank you. But then next up, man, linebacker though. Linebacker, my man KEO. I'm gonna just start doing 3 initials for most of these dudes.
Listen, we got a lot of 3 initials on this out of this draft
Yeah,
that worked out. I said, all right,
yeah.
make it easy.
Thank you. KEO, Elarms Orr out of TCU, linebacker. Reminded me from a stylistic standpoint of Dorian Williams, just because the way he attacks the football, I thought was very important. And I remember when I started doing my mocks about a month and a half ago, he kept popping up in the middle of the round. I'm like, clicking on the profile. I'm like, okay, like downhill, he'd be great in the 3-4. Boom. I'm like, this might be a get if Bills don't get a linebacker day 1 or day 2. So once again, fell right in the lap. And the Bills stayed put at that point, back to back draft pick. Because I thought for sure after they got Skylar Bell, I'm like, they probably gonna trade out this next one. But then they was like, nah, the pick is in. Oh, Drake said, I mean, not Drake, but I said, Bean said we going back to back with 2 good picks though. And that's the thing. Like it could have been back to back kind of iffy picks, but nah, like 2 very good value picks, 2 guys who I expect to contribute day 1. Wherever you want to line up Bell, like I said, he could be the 4, he could be the 5, he could come in spot duty here and there, and then we know injuries happen. Same thing with Orr. I expect his immediate impact to be special teams, but I think there's going to be a time or two where he may need to step into a role inside in that 3-4 defense. So I like it. Aggressive, big hitter, and then you got your playmaker at wide receiver. So who was next after them? Oh yeah, safety.
Jalen Kilgore, South Carolina. That was probably one of my favorite picks out the entire draft. It's like, all right, this is someone I can see a year down the line stepping into that safety spot, and now you got a tandem of Bishop and Kilgore back there. Like, again, another high level athlete, someone who's aggressive, someone who gets their hands on the football, someone who can just be a chess piece. Even if you want to play around and do some 3 safety looks right now, like someone who you can just throw in there. Someone, if you want to do a big nickel and have them play down more in the box, someone who can go in there and do that. Like it just adds to more flexibility that Leonard can use. Because now with Bishop there, with him in the mix, and the 3 different safeties you already signed in the offseason, like you can do a lot of mixing and matching with players and really have some fun on the back end right now. So I love the pick, and I love that he was available in the 5th round. Like fire.
Yeah, perfect. Because every time his name kept showing up as best available prospects available, I'm like, man, one of these times of Bill's shit, right? Probably because I mean, he's stuck. He's standing out. Like he would just that name. I just remember. I'm like, yo, I remember him being one of my day 2 like ideas and a lot of my mocks because I'm like, ooh, this dude's still on the board. I'm like, and then we get to round 5 and I'm like, he's still there, and it's like, nah, take him, please. And they went ahead and took him. And you're gonna get a guy like that's gonna be really hungry too. Like, you know what I mean? Like a top 100 prospect in the NFL draft drops to the 5th round. Played in the SEC, played at a high level, was highly touted. One of the top 5 safeties in this draft coming into the draft. So like to get a guy like that who plays with that mentality, the dog mentality that we've been talking about, got a nose for the football as well. I'm pretty sure, like you said, Jim Leonard's going to find something for him right away. Like I'll be surprised. Like we talk about special teams all we want to. I'll be surprised if he's not seeing defensive snaps by week fucking 5. Like, yeah, man, I want to be bold, and it may not even be bold and say like week 1 in some type of role, but like, bro, he too good of a prospect. I'll just say it like that. Kind of like just keep your helmet on, young blood. It's coming to you. Like, nah, that's a dude. You gotta find an assignment, right? He reminds me, and it's not like they got the same style, but I remember when Cam Lewis started to get good, good enough to be able to like move him somewhere on the field.
Mhm.
That's what it's like with him. Is like, and he gonna give you more than Cam because he bring more to the table than Cam Lewis. I'm sorry, but like you gonna have to figure out a way. Dime package, big nickel, like you mentioned. It's gonna have to be a way to get him on the field because like what I saw from him in college, and then just I think he gonna have a lot of hunger attached to him. And anytime you can get a dude like that who's already talented, coming in motivated to prove people wrong, yes, sir. Sign me up. Sign me up. So, like you said, he was one of my favorite picks of the entire draft. And then, like I said, you can go through the rest if you want to, like to name them, but like we don't have to chop up every four because I mean we picked one, two, three, four more guys after that. But
Yeah. I run through it. So Zane Durant, defensive tackle, Penn State. Toriano Pride Jr., cornerback, Missouri. Tommy Doman Jr., punter, out of Florida, and Armaj Reed Adams, guard, out of Texas A&M. So those four picks rounded up the rest of the draft. But again, these are still players that I believe will be in the mix. I mean, you got Durant, who is, a penetrating style defensive tackle. So you might have him in the 4-eye. You might have him just being the primary backup to Ed Oliver. But someone who, again, who's just going to be in the mix. I mean, you got more cornerback depth. The punter's immediately going to be thrust into the competition to be the team's punter. And you've got another guard who you can never have too many guards. So he'll be, battling right in there with their other young guards. So like as a whole, man, this team got a lot more athletic. They got a lot more athletic. They got a lot younger. And, really on the defensive side of things, I think Jim Leonard is really starting to get some chess pieces that he can use as he sees fit. Like, I mean, he said many times already, like he loves positionless players. And I feel like this draft shows that, he'll be able to move these pieces around and, have some fun back there. And, again, the fact that we didn't get a really big traditional nose tackle is showing like, hey, first of all, that is not the vision that he sees for that D line. But also, like, okay, the pieces that they have, he feels confident that he can utilize and run his defense the way he wants to run it. So now I'm just like, all right, if you feel like you don't need the big nose, let's see what you're working with. Let's see you use these guys to the best of their abilities. Can you get the best out of this draft class this year and last year? I mean, look, Dwayne Carter is coming into his third year. You drafted 2 defensive tackles last year. You drafted another defensive end last year. Can you get the best out of this young talent? And now I'm just excited to see how it all plays out.
yeah, I mean, and I'll just echo what you said because I don't got to go through each person kind of like we did so far, but like we are finally in a spot where the vision is becoming more and more clear, right? I think it was like as clear as mud almost in the beginning, but not really. I think most people know what defenses Jim Leonard was coming from, whether you saw what he did in college or whether you saw what he did the last few years in the NFL. But like we're like, but where do these guys fit? Like, I mean, we still got Greg Rousseau, and where is he lining up? And Ed Oliver. Now you fast forward, 6, 7, 8 weeks later, it's like, oh, okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
okay.
Half
So
these guys can get moved around in
man,
multiple
let's
spots. So, like, you really don't know what to key in on defense when you're offense, because if I'm keening on Rousseau, I can be the edge, he can be on the 5 tech. Like there's so many different things that they can do and so many different skill sets they can put on the field. So like it begins to be a bit of a matchup headache when you have so many different styles of players and so many different positions you can put them.
yeah, and like I said, I'm excited because I'm a defensive guy. I grew up, my dad preached it all the time, man. You got to play strong defense, right? It starts up front, right? We grew up in an era where it was Pat Williams and Ted Washington together clogging up the middle with the Gabe Northerns, the John Holiseks, the Sam Cowart to the world doing their job on the outside. And fast forward to Takeo Spikes and London Fletcher and Troy Vincent and Lawyer Malloy and Nate Clements, Antoine Winfield. That's what we came up on. I mean, our favorite offensive player growing up was Eric Moulds. People my age, right? Doug Flutie Magic, Peerless Price. Shout out to them boys. But like, I'm a defensive guy. You know what I mean? Show me some monsters, right? And if you look at, once again, the way that we have exited the playoffs outside of last year, 4 or 5 turnovers by Josh, I get it. You know what I mean? That's the first time in Josh's whole career to me where I really felt like he could cry like he did. He could cry and be like, damn, shit, that shit damn near my fault. But he still fought back, right? Still put 30, either close to 30 or 30 on the board. So defense. We have gotten you know, gotten it stuck to us a few times. You know, shout out to the game in Jacksonville coming away with a key interception. And there's been some games where you've been able to step up and make plays, but more times than not, our defense has given up way too much in the playoffs versus the regular season. And I know there's been articles, you know, saying reasons why. I think Tyler Dunn put out a piece recently, and there's other things going out there about McDermott's defense being a little bit too laid back and a little bit too predictable, which we kind of even knew as fans. We like, no, here we go again in a soft zone, 3rd and 15. I wonder who's going to catch a pass for 18 yards. It's frustrating. But when you bring in a guy like Jim Leonard, right? He you know, he's not saying too much because, you know, I like the fact that he's kind of keeping that protected image for now, at least. But it's like, I have a feeling there's going to be some stuff that's going to get fans excited. You know, some exotic blitzes, some different kind of fronts. Oh, you thought it was 3-4, but it's really going to be 6 guys in your face in less than a second, right? Or you thought 4 or 5 was coming and maybe only 2 came and everybody else dropped back. So like, I like the flexibility that I think is growing at One Bills Drive. And to me, the biggest takeaway I got as our secondary is going to be 10 times better than anything that we saw in the last 3 years. Granted, love the Poyer years, the Hyde years, Tre'Davious White in his prime. That was great for what it was for 4 years, 5 years. This new version that we're about to get with fresh legs, with a little bit of veteran spice in there, with Benford and Gardner Johnson and Geno Stone. But let me tell you something: Cole Bishop, Max Harrison, IGB, D. Alford, and the rest of these guys, Kilgore, man, it's gonna be fun to watch them guys. Because I know Jim Leonard's a former DB, so I know he's gonna be speaking to their hearts. So they're gonna be really tapped in because they're gonna be like, oh, this is a former DB that he got it out the mud. You know what I mean? White boy who played a decent amount of years in the NFL and played with some great defensive minds. He played in Buffalo. He played with the Jets. He played with Baltimore. So Jim Leonard know what the fuck he's talking about. So these guys, they're gonna be like all ears, and not to mention what the front 7 is gonna look like. I think you know, the Durant, the D tackle out of Penn State, I think he's an underrated one. That might be the most underrated guy that we got in the draft because I think so many people were caught up in they got to get a big hog, which we can still get. You know what I mean? DJ Reader's still out there and you know, whatever. But thing about Durant, if you look at his body, if you look at what he did at the combine, the motherfucker can move. The man can move. And it reminds me a lot of watching Ed Oliver, you know, when he was coming out the draft, just a big, like, built dude, not too much fat on the body. That's Durant. Durant might not carry the big stomach, and he might not, you know, Pat Williams, what we just talked about. Let me tell you something. You get him on that line. You get him to run a stunt with Ed Oliver or Sanders or Deion Walker and them boys. You going to start to be like, oh, yeah, I kind of like him, though. That's which one guy, man? Oh, yeah, that's the one y'all was sleeping on, remember? Remember when y'all said he was too small? Yeah, that dude pack a punch. I watched enough clips after the draft. I said, because I remember looking at some of his clips before the draft. It's like a, you know, whatever, a flyer that we might take on a D tackle. But then when I look back at it, I'm like, hold on. Dude, he be hitting and he be moving. And you get me another guy on that front to do that along with Deion Walker, to do that along with TJ Sanders and Ed Oliver, who fans we keep forgetting because he was hurt. I get it. But Ed Oliver coming back and Ed Oliver coming for blood. I really think he'll excel as well. Again, we're so caught up in this big D tackle that we need in the middle, which I'm not saying that it's not going to happen, but like, guys, let's look at what pieces we do have now. And then between now and September, we'll let the Bills figure out the rest. They know they know they still need, you know, a handful of more veterans to fill this whole thing out. But right now, if this is clay, I like the clay that we got. If this is clay, I like the clay that we got. I can build something with this. So I'm already looking at this team versus what I saw 2-3 months ago, and I'm already like, we're better.
Yeah, it's way more athletic. I'll say that this defense is way more athletic now than it was 4 months ago, 5 months ago, whenever the last time they were on the field. It's a much more athletic team because the people that left this defense in free agency were mostly all on the older side and on the back end of their careers, and we're replacing those with people on the come up, much younger and much more athletic for the most part.
Yeah. So
And I
it's
still
gonna
wouldn't
be
be
fun.
surprised to see one or two of those guys back. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see Shaq Thompson come back, or
Yeah.
even a Trey to come in for additional depth at corner. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see one of those or two of those players come back, or should throw Von Miller back in the mix and let him just get some pass rush snaps
That's
here and
it's funny you throwing Vine because I know that the internet do internet things, but he's been one name thrown in there recently that I didn't even realize till somebody brought it up recently that he had 9 sacks last year. So
there.
Von Miller is one to keep an eye on. We keep talking about situational pass rushers through the draft. Shit, you can get you a veteran who only played 20 snaps a game to do that job if you're looking for a
Mm-hmm.
situational threat. So Von Miller, keep an eye on that. Shaq Thompson, of course. I mean, just from a veteran standpoint, you know what I mean? Like he brings the leadership and he can still play. So I feel like those are two names to watch over the next few weeks or so, or just before the start of camp. Um, and yeah, so overall, man, grade wise, what you got the Bills? And like I said, this is the funky part of drafts that I really don't like doing, but just because we have a show and we like to cover as much as we can, your initial grade, we'll call it that, is what?
Yeah, I would give it a solid B.
Okay.
Yeah, it was leaning towards B plus, but I think a solid B would be where this is at. Um, for me, I don't think that would make it better if I could have got just a little bit. And again, this is just more preference stylistically, a little bit more of a different style defensive end.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think my pick would have been a little bit higher, but again, I like the versatility that Parker brings as a whole when it comes to the edge and pass defense and also run defense. But
yeah.
I think a solid B overall.
Yeah. I was very similar. I mean, I hate that we do this all the time, but like I was like I remember the first feeling was like C plus, right? Like the draft wasn't even over. I'm like, this is a C plus draft because I like 2 or 3, but the rest I'm like, eh. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be one of those that really look at this draft and be a true evaluator. And this is being early, we're in the early stages of that, but say, hey, how many of these guys can contribute this season? And honestly, when I sat back and thought about it, I'm like, wow, maybe 4 or 5. And then that's what made me think, shit, if you can walk away with a draft any year with 4 or 5
Mhm.
contributors, you did your job. Now, I mean, plain and simple. And I'm not talking injuries and all that. I'm talking Durant, who I just mentioned. I can see him being a part of the rotation. Kilgore, I can see him finding his way on the field, like I already mentioned, not even due to injuries.
Right.
IGB, I can see the same happening. Now, I know 9 times out of 10 with corner threes, it's normally injuries, but I definitely see IGB on the field in some capacity. We talked about the punter competition. We talked about the swing tackle role that could be there for homeboy. And then we already talked about outside linebacker with Ty Parker there. So like 4 or 5 potentially to make an impact, right? Of some on a championship caliber team. Because normally a championship caliber team, your draft is like, yeah, is whatever. Like, yeah, they might make a team, they might not. But it's one thing to make a team and it's one thing to get on the field. I see at least a minimum of 4 getting on the field within the first 5 to 10 games. Like I'm not even talking about, they're gonna see Simon December when we beating the Jets 38-10. I can see these guys getting roles. And to me, that's the fun part, right? Is you look at these guys and it's not like you're just saying, well, 2 years from now, Kilgore can do this. Nah, this year, Kilgore can get a pivotal sack on a blitz where he takes down Geno Smith and we clinch the AFC East. Like it's like that, you know what I mean, with some of these guys. So I give it a B/B minus just because I feel kind of like you did, like the first pass rush I didn't feel initially, but then I'm like, you know what, it can work. And then obviously at D tackle probably would have went with a little bit more beef pause with Caden McDonald maybe at early on or down
Mhm.
the line. There were a couple other guys down there that we could have got that were, heavier set D tackles. But then again, the object of the game is still just get to the ball, make plays, right? And we know, as we mentioned, we play with some quarterbacks within our conference who can make magic happen. And the more guys that you got on that defensive field, whether they 360 pounds or 290 pounds, if they can get to the damn football, they can get to the football. And like you mentioned too, stopping the run hasn't been our issue in the playoffs. You can point to stopping the run here and there, but I'll leave it with this. One last good point that Bean or someone else brought up was that a lot of our big runs, a lot of times tend to come up and come around that outside. So getting your edge run
Yeah,
defenders
it's usually not right up the middle. It's
is right.
a missed assignment on the edge, and
Yeah,
someone
it's
took a
normally
bad angle. Now it's
a
hidden.
bad angle from Bosa, right? Or a bad angle, a bad misstep by one of the DNs. Von Miller used to do sometimes too. But like normally it's the outside. You know, they get a little crease, boop, boop, and they gone. One thing Parker is good at is being a edge setter and being a good defender against the run as well. So I think we actually got better at that position when it comes to stopping the run, which is a key because you lose one guy who kind of sucked at it with Bosa, and you add in a guy like Parker who should give you juice on the edge when it comes to stopping the run. So I'll probably go with a B instead of a B minus, just because when you really start to talk about it out loud, you really get to come back to the fact like, yo, this is really not as bad as what the majority will make you think. And when we say majority, we just talking about the keyboard warriors. But if you really understand the changes that are taking place at One Bill Drive, you got to respect it. And when you really look at how many times we lost due to injuries in the secondary, you got to respect the fact that we walked away with 3 guys added to our secondary from the draft. One who was the fastest in the combine, and Prince. 2, you get another safety to add to the mix, and then you get another corner to step into your CB3 role. So I give it a B overall. And if fans don't agree with it, guess what? You got 4 or 5 more months. We shall see. We shall see. But we're past the hour, man. Any last things you want to lead the people with? Because I think we'll probably catch back up in a couple weeks. I mean, I was thinking since it's the playoffs, we could do weekly if we want to. And we talking about this live too. We don't care. We don't gotta do it behind the scenes. I was thinking like, yo, Sabres playing, Knicks playing. I'm like, we can do weekly or we can catch up in 2 weeks. However
Hey,
it
look,
works.
man, it's playoff time, baby. We got time. We got nothing but time, baby.
Let's do it,
I'm
baby.
with it. And we got plenty of ammo.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, we'll make sure we catch up with everybody next week, man. If you ain't a Sabres fan, guess what? It's okay. It's safe to say you can hop on the wagon. We said it 6-7 years ago with the Bills. Like a lot of people weren't Bills fans outside of
just hopped on a couple weeks ago, so it's more room.
Listen,
it's more room.
I like the way he put that because it's true. First off, I'm always Buffalo, right? I had to do the same with the Bandits when I went to their game a couple years ago.
Listen, them Bandits games, them joints different.
They be lit. But to pay attention though to the Sabres, though, I'll just put it that way, has been an experience. You know, you don't watch hockey for years and then you start watching and you're like, holy shit, like it's a nonstop action. Yeah, I mean, all the fights that go on, you know, you learning more about all sides and all this shit. You know what I mean? Power play.
Look at you.
Yeah, power play.
Learn the ins and outs of the beautiful game of hockey. Well, welcome to the club, my brother.
I'm a sports fan, baby. I'm a sports fan. I tell people that all the time. Like, it don't take me long as the game ain't boring, right? I was watching the Masters. Yeah, that's boring, right? So, sports, baby. It's in the genes, it's in the blood, but it's always about the Buffalo sports, baby. Like this town buzzes at a different buzz. I know that's not even a real thing.
I drove through downtown yesterday. I was going from one showing to another appointment. Had to cut through downtown. Just seeing all the Sabres fans down there. I mean, every corner, Sabres stuff. I drove up Allen, full of fans going to different places, just jerseys on, walking through. I'm like, listen, this city hit different when the Sabres are good. Yeah. And when the Bills are good, the energy is different.
I know people are used to the Bills being good now, so it's slightly different. we done got fake spoiled, but it's still the same though. Because like you fast forward to September, fans gonna be back. Josh Allen jerseys everywhere, all that. So listen, y'all, we want to end it like this, man. Go Buffalo, go Sabres, go Bills, go Bandits, go Knicks. And let's make sure that we enjoy the weekend. Have a safe weekend, folks. I know it ain't beautiful this weekend here in Buffalo. We get another rainy or 58, 62 degree,
I'm
whatever.
Not even talking about the weather, man. Whatever.
But
we'll be good by Memorial Day. A couple more weeks, we'll be out. Just got to get through a few more weeks.
Yeah, 100%.
But either way, we good, man. We appreciate y'all rocking with us for another week. We're gonna see y'all next week. I'm Cyrus.
And this is Val. You in the zone with V and Z, baby.
Go Sabres.
Go Sabres.